Well, we have some breaking news here as the Vince McMahon return story continues to develop. We now have an official resignation from co-CEO and chairwoman of the WWE, Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie announced her resignation, her full, complete resignation. I'm done with WWE, stepping away. She's not stepping down as chairwoman. She's not stepping down as CEO to do something else. She is gone from the WWE. Stephanie has released a statement, and it is as follows. Dear WWE Universe, about 8 months ago, I took a leave of absence, and within a few weeks, unexpectedly, I had the opportunity of a lifetime. I had the privilege to return as the co-CEO and chairwoman of the board of WWE. I cannot put into words how proud I am to have led what I consider to be the greatest company in the world, working alongside a remarkable leadership team and one of the strongest executives I've ever known in my co-CEO, Nick Khan. Our founder, Vince McMahon, has returned as executive chair and is leading an exciting process regarding strategic alternatives, aka a sale. And with Nick's leadership and Paul Triple H Levesque's Chief Content Officer, I am confident WWE is in the perfect place to continue to provide unparalleled creative content and drive maximum value for shareholders. WWE is in such a strong position. Look, she's just, out of the goodness of her heart, WWE is in such a strong position that I have decided to return to my leave and take it one step further with my official resignation. I look forward to cheering on WWE from the other side of the business, where I started when I was a little kid as a pure fan. She said fan. Fan's not allowed in WWE. She means universe, as a pure universe. I will always remain dedicated to WWE. I truly love our company, our employees, our superstars, and our fans. Well, it's not ours anymore. It's theirs. She's a fan, remember? A universe. And I am grateful to all of our partners. Thank you for everything. Then, now, forever, together. Steph. Whoo! This as right around the same time, Vince McMahon was unanimously appointed back to the chairmanship of the board of directors for WWE. This story continues to just fucking wow. At this point, there's no other details about this. I am hoping by the time I get to my official podcast this weekend that there will be updates to provide. I'm sure there will be, as of course, the wrestling journalists out there are going to do their job, dig up the dirt, and we're going to find out a little bit more about this situation. But as of now, it appears that due to Vince coming back, it's inarguable that the reason she's stepping down is Vince is coming back. Now, did she leave? Is she leaving because she always intended to leave? Her leave of absence back in the day, back over the summer, she had to come back to fill in the spot that Vince left. There had to be a McMahon in the position somewhere. Does she just want to leave? Is that her position? And now that all those positions are filled again, and she really does feel like the company is in safe enough hands that she can go back to hanging out with her kids and being a housewife and all that stuff. Perhaps that's the case. However, remember the board, before they unanimously approved Vince McMahon to be the new and once again chairman of the board, they unanimously, I got to get my quotes on camera here, unanimously declined to welcome back Vince. So Steph was not looking for her way out. She was not looking at it from, let's have Vince come back in and then now I can leave and go do what I wanted to do. That does not appear to be the case. Otherwise, they would not have ruled to keep Vince out. She would have been like, let's bring him back so I can get the fuck out of here. Or she would have just stepped down and let Nick Khan take it over to begin with. And also, if you remember, around the time that Stephanie took her leave, there were some leaks going out to the different various news sources and that sort of thing, that Stephanie was not particularly good at her job as what was she, the chief brandy officer, right? Like Brandy Rhodes was in AEW, the CBO, the chief brand officer. Apparently she sucked at her job, or at least that's what the corporate wanted people to think. I believe there's some shit going on. I believe that Stephanie and Vince don't get along. Maybe they get along as family. I don't know. I'm not there day to day. But I think there's sufficient evidence, as I just laid out, that the two cannot exist in the same company. That for whatever reason, Stephanie has decided that she can't be there if Vince is going to come back. Or maybe Vince has decided that Stephanie can't be there. Maybe this was a nice way, her resignation was a nice way of saying, you're fired. That could be the case too. But it seems like Steph and Hunter and Nick Khan were unanimously united against Vince, in that they were trying to keep him from coming back. Now that he is back, now that he's pushed his way back into the board and was politicking for chairman of the board and got it, clearly, Stephanie's just like, deuces, I'm out of here. She could have stayed co-CEO still. When Vince came back, when he left, put his letter out there or whatever, he said, I look forward to working with, Paul and Nick and Stephanie as co-CEOs. There was no indication that he was intending to remove Stephanie from power. So I think this is clearly a situation, at least from what I'm able to gather, and you can argue or give me your case against what I'm about to say here down in the comments. But I think it's pretty cut and dry that Vince and Stephanie cannot coincide in the same company. Stephanie doesn't want to be there. Vince is going to be there anymore. As soon as those leaks started happening about all the scandals of Vince McMahon, and he was, whatever the fuck he was doing, the word was that she was getting the fuck out of there. She was trying to leave. And that might have been why they were trying to leak dirty shit about her or make her sound bad or fucking not good at her job or whatever they were trying to do. And why would they do that if there wasn't a reason that they wanted to get Stephanie out of the picture? She might have been the biggest protester. She might have been the ones there saying like, Dad, you got to go, dude. You can't. You can think about it. She's a woman. And she knows what her dad's up to. She's been around the company since the 80s, right? She was fucking, Andre the Giant's best friend, remember? So she's been around long enough to know all of Vince's dirty little secrets, or at least have heard the rumors and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Triple H leave at this point, or even Nick Khan. I think Nick Khan wants to be part of this deal that sells, and then he'll probably leave the company. Obviously, if it sells, he's not going to be the CEO anymore. But I think he wants that on his resume, that, he worked his way up to full 100% CEO of WWE and presided over the sale of the company. I don't know, man. Why did Stephanie leave? What other reasons would she have to leave? I don't believe her statement, because she would not have fought so hard to keep her dad from coming back to the company if she wanted to leave. Or she would have just left it to Nick Khan. There's nothing wrong with that either. She could have remained as chairwoman of the board. That's not a daily job, I don't think, because these chair people are plucked from other companies and that sort of thing too. A lot of times when boards of directors are put together for publicly traded companies, they're pieced together with obviously a lot of people from inside the company, but they also bring in people from other companies. I sit on your board, you sit on my board, we all sit on each other's boards. That's the kind of game that they play. It would not take away from her day to day as a mother to be the chairman of the board for WWE, even though, Vince was obviously politicking to take that spot from her. There's just no good reason for her to have stepped down. It doesn't make sense. Other than Vince is back, I don't want to be here anymore. If he's here, I'm gone. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Vince was like, all right, Steph, you better resign, otherwise you're fired. And why, I don't know. I mean, I could only sit and speculate. There's no good reason other than maybe they butt heads, or maybe Stephanie's been waiting for Vince to fucking die and get the fuck out of the chair for a long time now. Maybe she wanted that CEO spot. Maybe she wanted that chairman spot. Maybe she saw this as her company to run, and now that her dad's gone, she's glad to be back. And now that he's coming back and he's trying to bully his way back into her job again, fuck you then. I'm out of here. She had enough. She's over it. She's gone. She could have been pushed out. That is very well the case. Either way, I think it's clear that Vince and Stephanie don't see eye to eye, and they're probably not going to work well together, and this is why she left. There's not enough room for the two of them at the executive level. Now, what does this say for Triple H? Papa H is still there. He's still in charge of creative for now. He's still on the board of directors for now. You know, what's that like with him there? He's not a McMahon. He's married into the family. You know, he calls Vince dad. Obviously, you know, Vince is the grandfather of his children and all that stuff, you know. But you think Triple H is just going to sit there and just get cucked to everybody? You know, why is he still sticking around? Nick Khan, we already discussed a little bit. I can see why he would still want to stick around. He's not a lifer for WWE. He came in to sell that bitch, or to whip it in shape and, you know, get a good big media rights deal. Whatever the case may be that he was brought in for, it's a step on his way to his next thing. It's a good piece to put on his resume. Now he has been a CEO of a major billion-dollar publicly traded company that's been around for 50, 60 years. So it's going to look good on his resume. WWE is about to get sold. There's no doubt in my mind about it at this point. Vince did not come back, and I said this on the pod last week, so forgive me for repeating myself, but maybe you didn't listen to that. Vince did not come back to just fucking sit at the head of the table in the boardroom. Vince came back to sell WWE, and I don't believe that he came back to take back over creative and just do the same shit he was going to do. I do believe this is that whole NWO. I'm going to kill it myself. I'm going to inject it with a lethal dose of poison. I made that comparison in my last clip, but it's true. It's exactly what he's doing. He got pushed out, and Vince has such a giant ego. He's such a maniacal egomaniac. He's such a thick-headed, hard-headed, stubborn old fucker, and he's not going to go away quietly. If you're going to push him out, fuck you then. I'm going to plot my takeover, and then I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to take back over just to take back over. I'm going to sell it so none of you motherfuckers can have it. Ha! I'm not going to leave it to my kids for them to fucking go on and maybe sell it on their own someday. If anybody's going to do anything with this company, it's going to be me. God damn it. Somehow Steph didn't fit into those plans. Do you think Steph got pushed out by Vince because she was the chairman of the board and Vince wanted that seat? So he's politicking for that seat, and they made every attempt to say, no, you're not allowed back. Get the fuck out of here. And he just bullied his way in, and maybe she said, okay, fine. Now he's bullying his way for the chairman spot. I'm just going to leave. But she could have stayed co-CEO. She doesn't need to be the chairman of the board and CEO at the same time. And it seems to be, at least, you know, again, I'm not there, but we all have been following this story, right? And it seems to be, especially by the unanimous decision by the board to not let Vince come back, that Nick Khan and Stephanie and Hunter are kind of united in their idea of what they want to do with WWE, or at least they all get along and they are all clicking and working well with each other. And Vince just came in and disrupted the whole thing. Nick's not going to go because he's the key guy to oversee a sale on this bitch. He's the media rights guy. He's the big genius, and he wants that feather in his cap. He wants to go to his next job and say, look at my resume. And Hunter, I don't know why the fuck he's still around. I don't know. I can't fathom why he would want to stick around. I would have left with my wife. They're rich as fuck. They got all the money. I mean, Triple H, just based on his wrestling career alone, has enough money to fucking retire on comfortably. But Stephanie's got those McMahon stocks, those Class B stocks. Those things are worth so much goddamn money. They have voting power. Those two are set for life. Their kids are set. They do not need to continue to work there. What is the point of Triple H sticking out at the creative position at this point? Your wife just left the company. Unless Stephanie left peacefully, and she's like, no, it's fine. You know what? Vince is back now. I can go home and I can just be with my kids. Take it at face value. And maybe that's why Hunter's around, because it is exactly as Stephanie portrays it to be. And Triple H is going to stick around because he doesn't want to go home and hang out with the kids. He wants to run creative. With Steph getting pushed out, I can't imagine it's going to be a fun place for Triple H to be working anytime soon. Now he's going to have to start answering to, Nick, of course, and Vince. And he didn't have to answer to Vince before. He had to answer to Steph. And now every creative decision he's going to make, he's going to have fucking Vince pulling down the glasses and looking at him sternly, This is wild. This is such a wild story. Look, I thought last year was wild. I thought Vince stepping down, retiring. Yeah, right. We all should have known better. We all should have. I'm not alone in that. Excuse me. Sorry. We all should have known. But this could end up being an even more newsworthy year for WWE. I mean, it already is. Vince is back now. So that whole big, Vince retired finally. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. Well, we didn't, because he's back. So there goes that. Scratch that one off. Now WWE is going to get sold. Now Stephanie McMahon is on the outs all of a sudden. And we're going to start to probably hear more about this as people dig. I would imagine there's going to be some sleuthies. I'm sure Meltzer will have his opinions. He'll have a good opinion based on what a couple guys in the locker room tell him. And, I know Sean Ross Sapp does a really good job. There's going to be sleuths that are getting to the bottom of this, and we're going to hear more information. But in the meantime, Vince is back, and it appears he's back with an iron fist. Already, he's not just back on the board. Now he's the chairman. So now what? Now is he going to push Triple H out of his job of creative? Because Vince ain't the CEO, Nick Khan is. So that opens up some room for Vince to have things to do. The chairman of the board is not a full-time position. It's not. Boards meet regularly, but it's not an all-day, everyday gig. Vince is going to have to find other shit to do. And now that he's the fucking chairman and he's got all the stock and everything, who knows? Maybe he'll muscle Nick Khan out. I don't think he will, because he's going to need Nick Khan to facilitate this sale. Maybe Vince will join him as co-CEO. Maybe he'll pick that up. Maybe he doesn't need to, because he's got enough power from the chairman position the chairman can appoint, fire anybody they want, can they not? Forgive me for being ignorant to corporate fucking structures and everything, but I'm pretty damn sure the chairman of the board can oust the CEO anytime that they like. The board would have to vote on it, perhaps, but it's clear at this point that the board goes along with the whims of Vince McMahon. The board was unanimously against Vince coming back, and he's like, well, I'm coming back anyway. And they're like, okay, well, we unanimously welcome you now. And then now now the board has put out, WWE's issued a statement that Vince is now the chairman of the board again. This is just wild. I would expect to see Triple H either have his power significantly reduced or just outright leave. Step down, take a powder, go home, hang out with Steph. They could do something else, start another company, perhaps. I just cannot imagine. Maybe AEW needs a fucking. they could use a good booker, right? Good head of creative. It's wild. At this point, I'm not ready to ever say ever in wrestling ever again. anything can happen at any time. This is a fucking wild world that we live in, and this is just the beginning. We're not even halfway through January. We are 10 days in, and we already have our biggest news story of the year. It's ongoing, and will inevitably lead to the sale of the WWE. And Vince is going to preside over it, and I do expect Triple H to lose power. I don't know for sure. You know, he could just stay there. But at this point, his wife is not his boss anymore. Nick Khan seemed to be pretty united with Steph and Triple H, but now that Steph is gone, Nick Khan got along with Vince pretty well too. You know, Triple H got to answer to Vince and Nick, and you know, that could turn really ugly. He could be cucked real quick, handcuffed, not able to do all the things that he wants to do, told no, overruled. They could come in preparing for this sale. Remember, they made all those cuts last year when the rumors were that they were preparing for a sale. Nick Khan and Vince McMahon could come in and cut half of Triple H's roster all over again. All these people that he hired back. It's wild. I was so geeked. I heard about this at work. I was still working. And I scroll, I got to work and stuff, so I can't be on my phone all day, but I pick it up and I scroll in between to just kind of take a little break, from work or whatever. And I didn't see shit about it all day. And then all of a sudden I was on Facebook and I seen some random ass Facebook wrestling group. And if you're a wrestling fan, there's a bajillion of these wrestling groups that are news sites when they really just kind of fantasy book and speculate and troll and take stories from other websites and that kind of thing. And I saw one of them report it, and I even did a quick scroll through my Facebook feed, and I still didn't see anything from anybody else. So I, like an idiot, I prematurely commented. I was like, fake news. I haven't seen this from any credible source. And then I, close out of it, refresh, open it back up about 5 minutes later, and everybody and their mom is reporting on this goddamn thing. So I was like, okay, well, I made an ass of myself there. I'll eat those words. Stephanie has left the WWE completely, not taking a leave. She has resigned. She is no longer employed. She is just a fan. Maybe she'll bring her sign and sit in the front row next week, and she'll be cheering on Austin Theory. Who knows? But I suspect we're going to hear more on this particular subject, and I think that things are just going to continue to develop and get crazier and wilder, and this whole thing is going to continue to be newsworthy for weeks and months to come until WWE inevitably sells. That's my thought, but what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments about this whole thing. Do you think she left because she wanted to go home and hang out with her kids? I think Stephanie or Triple H had said that in an interview. Maybe it was the one with Ariel. I think he had basically said, Steph wanted to spend time with the kids and that kind of thing. Maybe that was always her intention all along. Perhaps. But why would she have tried so hard to push to keep Vince from coming back then? And why wouldn't she have just left and let Nick Khan take over instead? A lot of questions. I call bullshit on her official story. Do you think Vince pushed her out? Do you think she stepped down because she didn't want to work with Vince? Do you think she stepped down to hang out with her kids and go fucking knit and bake cookies? I don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation about it. And on to the next. Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah. And you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Ooh yeah. Dig it.